have all these years. We can't get people enthusiastic and keep them in that place for 16 years. It's just, you know, we have a hard time keeping people enthusiastic now. When things are not going our way, we don't see as much activity. But now that, you know, we've got a little notoriety from the fallout, which may have worked to our benefit. The reporting that is going on from the disenfranchised delegates at the RNC convention in Tampa is just amazing to me. It's even in my local paper here in South Florida.
Yes, and they're going to continue spreading the word. A lot of them are just starting to get home this weekend. So.
Yes, absolutely. The second point I want to make, and I'll be brief here, is that, you know, we've got Audit the Fed coming up, and the Senate is going to be reconvening, I believe, on the 12th. And while the media has really not covered this much, I would imagine that if it did get a vote, if Harry Reid did allow a vote on this, that you'll start to see a lot more attention come into play. And we have to consider what are the repercussions of us making some kind of wrong move before that time. So we've got a buffer of what, about 2 weeks here before that happens. We don't want to damage any chances for that to go through. This is Dr. Paul's hallmark legislation, and so, I mean, the notoriety that would come from a passing of this legislation would also help us. So I think that, you know, if people would care to write their senators and call their senator's office immediately, don't wait. Just, you know, start doing it until you get through to one of their interns or their assistants and speak directly to them. I've done it. It's possible.
Yes. Yes. And not only that, you can use the online form because the government has a system for that now, where you can reach every representative through their online system. So, in the case of, excuse me, I'm in the wrong page here. I'm just getting to where I put this. Just a second here. Well, I'll come back with that, with the website address for Dr. Paul himself, for entering your comments again. I've already shared that once during this call. Let me get to the next caller, though. But yeah, I personally don't feel like we have 4 more years. Every year that we wait, there's people being blown apart in unjust wars that are not even declared, and we're currently bombing people in 6 different countries right now. Little do most Americans know.
Hello.
So we have to do this to protect not only our liberty, but liberty around the world. It's on the line.
Okay, is that me?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to say something that nobody else has said tonight, and that's concerning the Libertarian Party.
Do you mind sharing your name? We're all sharing our
names here. I'm from Ohio. My name's Rex.
Hi, Rex.
And, yeah. And a lot of people were disenfranchised in Tampa by the GOP. Now, how is it fair that we disenfranchise the Libertarian Party people, the people who duly and honestly elected Jim Gray, particularly, since that's what you guys are trying to get him replaced? People spent their time, energy, money to get him elected. Yeah, and if it isn't right to disenfranchise the GOP, to disenfranchise those people, it's just as wrong for you guys to do it to the Libertarian voters.
Well, I see the difference here would be that we are asking if they're open to this, and if they're open. You know that there won't be. If there were 10 voters who said, "Hey, I love Jim Gray. I voted for him. I donated to him," it's not right. Okay, well, I hear you, and Rex, you're welcome to that opinion. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm going to fight against it because it's wrong and immoral. Okay, well, I hear you, and I think that you are entitled to your feeling about it. I don't think that we're doing the same thing as what the RNC did when they knocked out duly elected delegates. We're not forcing anybody to do anything. If there is one voter that is disenfranchised, a Libertarian Party voter, that has his vote mean nothing because you guys came in, and believe me,
I followed Ron Paul since the 80s. And the Libertarian Party. I respect the heck out of Ron Paul. I was a Ron Paul only guy, but this is morally and principally wrong. And you guys, nobody's considered it. You guys say, hey, we lost with the Republican Party, so now we're just going to willy-nilly go in there. Oh, scoot over there, LP guys. You guys don't mind. What if I took your house because I was more popular and I lost mine?
Okay, well, that's not what I'm asking people to do, and I appreciate your opinion. I will just answer with that by saying that what we're asking is if they're willing to step down, and if that's something that they choose to do, they're welcome to do that. If they don't choose to, then that's fine too. The indication we had from Gary Johnson's speech himself is that the only reason he was running was because Ron Paul couldn't get nominated, so it sounded like he is supporting Ron Paul. And that's my point of view, and I don't feel wrong about asking the question. We're entitled to ask, and they're entitled to do what they want. It's not the same thing as just kicking somebody out who was a duly elected delegate. I'm going to go to the next caller. That's 270.
Hello, my name is Melissa, and I'm a Republican from Kentucky. And I was wondering, what if we could get Dr. Paul to have one last money bomb and raise some money to help him get through these next 2 months? And can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you. You're suggesting a money bomb for Ron Paul to help him get through this next 2 months. If we get him to run, we will do every money bomb we can for him. You know, I personally will go up to the campaign contribution limit myself. Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, what if the election is rigged and they re-elect Obama? Well, basically, what do we do then?
Okay, I don't know the answer to that. I'm reopening the Q&A queue because I couldn't get to the next caller. So I have somebody from 569-2814, area code 805.
I'm Maria from California.
Hi, Maria.
And I have some quick things to say. I did call the Washington office this week, and the Washington office from Ron Paul cannot answer any questions regarding campaign issues. So people will have to call the campaign office if they want to ask Ron Paul to run on a different ticket or independently. Number two, the other caller that just called about the Libertarian Party, because I've had these arguments online where people have already brought up some of these issues, is the bylaws of the Libertarian Party, I don't think allow for changes to be made to the ticket where the people have already been chosen to be on the ticket.
Yes, and I addressed that. The only change that could happen is if one of those two people voluntarily withdrew, and then they would have to replace that candidate through their process. Okay, it would be complicated, but it can be done.
Okay, I thought it was just possible to have it done through an amendment at regular conventions during the year. But I don't know all the specifics, but that's the information that I have seen on the internet, you know, when people have had conversations about these issues.
Yes, I've been seeing that too.
And then the third thing is something that I want to point out.
Yes.
And it has to do with an issue that is very poorly covered in the campaign. And I'm an immigrant from the Netherlands, and I've always been I've been a lifelong liberal, like a Kucinich liberal, and I started following Ron Paul about 6-7 years ago, and I really liked what he had to say, especially on civil liberties, the wars, and then, but I didn't quite get the economics part, and I have to say I wasn't very good at economics, but I started educating myself. And I started reading Friedrich Hayek's Road to Serfdom. And I found out that all these years that when I was repulsed with some of the things the Republicans were doing, I wasn't clear on what it is I did not like about the Republican Party. But I found out that the Republican economic ticket is not free market capitalism. And it is a point that the Ron Paul campaign should make clear. Ron Paul advocates on behalf of free market capitalism. Austrian School of Economics is free market capitalism.
Yes.
The Reaganomics that Reagan said the right things. He didn't practice free market capitalism. And people in the Republican Party do not get this issue either. They don't realize that what happened under Reagan wasn't free market capitalism. It was a mix of state capitalism, and they wanted to apply free market principles. But it wasn't free market capitalism, and this is an issue. And so when the left looks at the right, they go, well, Reaganomics failed. Look, it failed. The evidence, the jury is out. This is an issue that if you want to be successful and attract more people from the left or independents, you have to make your economic platform clear. It's Austrian School of Economics, free market capitalism that separates government from the economy, or state capitalism, which both parties are advocating. They both have the exact same platform. One is deregulated, and the other one is overregulated, and they're both against small business.
I think that you're taking your share of time here, and we have a lot of people holding on, but I think your message is very good. So that is something else that we can all work to communicate. And there's a difference between fascism, which is corporate control of the government, and the government controlling everything, and free market capitalism.
Right.
The whole concept of liberty.
My sole point is that there is so much confusion throughout the political spectrum about this economics, about the economic platforms, and it is astonishing that how confused people are, even within the Republican Party.
Okay, well, I thank you for your point. I'm going to get to the next caller now because I'm going to do 5 more callers, and it's just what I can do. I have a limit to stamina. I have to get up for work, and many of us do, but there will be another teleconference on Thursday where we can continue talking about these things and see how far we've gotten in our campaign to encourage Dr. Paul not to drop out and to continue campaigning. Now we have Joseph Cavarello.
Hi, actually, I go by Jay. I'm actually a radio host on InternetRadioAmerica.com. Actually, I was a delegate, ran for delegate in Massachusetts. You probably heard of us. A lot of us got booted. They refused to count the votes. But anyways, I digress. I'm staying a Republican. I'm on board with what you guys are doing. I am going to stay a Republican, and also I strongly support, Gary Johnson allowing Ron Paul somehow to get on the ticket, either VP or president. I think anybody who's grown up as a Ron Paul supporter would know that obviously they should stay Republican, and yet if they can vote for Ron Paul in that fashion, it would be better. My question would be, doesn't Ron Paul have over $2 million in cash on hand still, and could that be used at all to help with this transition if he was able to get onto the Libertarian ticket?
I believe that he could still use his money. They do count as presidential campaign contributions, and it's a PAC. I don't know if it's necessarily a party-affiliated PAC or not. That's a good question. I am not an expert on that, but that is a good question. In any case, we have to compete with Obama, who has $1 billion in his war chest, and Romney's is growing very quickly too. So it's going to be quite a challenge. But what they do not have is what we have, which is millions of people who really in their heart are dedicated to this idea of having liberty dealt with now and on the agenda now. And they're mad enough that they've been marching all over the country, and they're mad enough from the Occupy movement to the Tea Party to be out there in different ways protesting. People want change, and they are tired of the two-party system. So if we give them this alternative with Ron Paul, amazing things can happen. The next caller I have is 903, and before I let you talk, I just wanted to add that I will personally give my own contributions up to the limit, which I haven't done this year because I've given all my time and so forth to the Alaska Republican Party and my money to candidates here, but I will personally give him to the limit. And if he actually is willing to step in and run, we're going to need a lot of... Okay.
This is Dwayne Hall.
Hi, Dwayne.
This is Dwayne Hall. I'm a Patriot leader from Arkansas, and I just want to make a couple of quick points. Arkansas went third party in '68, and a recent poll said 61% of the people are favorable to third parties. If we can get at least 15%, we can get him in the debate, And Ron Paul might agree to do it if he can get in a debate and change the conversation. That's been one of his goals all along.